I am so excited to be here with Marisa Schmid and talk about her latest launch where she got 212 signups. That is such a high number that it's definitely worth diving into what she did and how you can learn from her launch. Marisa, welcome on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure.
So, how often have you launched?
Oh, overall, I have launched about, 10 times maybe, but different courses. But this course, this specific one, that's the second launch that I had.
So this was the second launch of this course, but overall, you would say that you have some launch experience.
Yes, a little, but I never really did that kind of open card launch because I just didn't know how to do it. So usually I was just opening my doors and then I kept it open for some weeks, but I didn't really launch it. So it wasn't really a lot of thinking behind it. So this was really the first time that I actually did it with a plan in mind.
Okay. So your previous launches were more like, hey, I have this program, you can buy it. And then you just kept the cart open as long as there were spots left or until the program started?
Until the program started.
Okay.
One was sold out, so I had to close the cart. But yes, that's what I did actually.
Yeah. So we wouldn't really call that a launch in my books. No.
No, you probably wouldn't.
No.
So in this case, that was the first launch.
Aha. So this was your first proper launch.
Yes.
And you had this amazing success. Okay.
Yes.
So how many people signed up for your launch activity? Okay, let me first ask you, what did you do? Was it a webinar, 3-part video series, challenge? What did you ask people to sign up for?
I asked them to sign up for a webinar. I did a launch webinar.
Okay. And you had created the course already. So it was not, because I often sell before I create, or actually always sell before I create.
I know, but it was for this course, it was the second time. So I had it.
And tell us a little bit about what you were selling, how long it was, the price point, and what was the big promise?
It was a 6-week course. It was the price point was 200 euros or 199 euros. And it's about the spirit guides, and they just got one module every week, plus 2 hours of live coaching from me every week. So that's around what I offered them, and that was for 200 euros.
Okay. So they learn about the spirit guides. Some people might not know what that is. Can you explain a little bit what you do and what the course promised?
Okay. I'm a spiritual teacher, and I teach people how to connect to their own guides, to their own inner compass, and how to actually live that intuitive life, how to become an intuitive, how to connect to your guides that you have in your life, and to just live a happy life, a fulfilled life. Just live your life's purpose. That's what I teach. And the Spirit Guides course is the course where they actually really meet their spirit guide. So they really know who is guiding them through their life. So it's going quite in depth into who they have as guides and how they are supported.
So you have people on your email list. How big is your email list, or was before this launch?
It was probably around 4,000, 4,500 maybe. It isn't a huge email list, but I have quite a big following on YouTube.
Yeah. So you have more like a following that they're not necessarily signing up for your email list. Yeah. It's always better to have them on the list though. Yeah.
I know. I keep telling them.
You keep telling them. Yeah, that's good. So you just announced a webinar.
I actually did. Yes, I announced the webinar on my email list, and probably I announced it on my podcast and YouTube lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that. Yes.
Did you run any ads?
I did run. Yes, I did run ads. I ran Facebook ads and I ran YouTube ads.
YouTube ads. Yeah, I think you're the only person that I know has run YouTube ads for webinar. I'm sure people do it, but people haven't talked about it a lot. So tell us, especially those listening who haven't heard about this method yet, how do you run YouTube ads to a webinar?
Well, actually, I have 12,000 people on my YouTube community, so 12,000 subscribers, and I, for my videos, use ads. So when you click on a video of mine, there is an ad first. And when I was preparing for that webinar, I thought, well, if there is an ad in front of my video, I should be able to put an ad in front of somebody else's video too. So I did some web search and looked at a YouTube video and at the video about how to make an ad for YouTube. And that was actually fantastic, because I figured that if you want to make a YouTube video ad, you can actually put that ad in front of the videos of specific channels. So I could make research of somebody who is doing something similar to me, and then put my ads in front of her videos. So that was really helpful, because then I know I can really target my clientele. So I can really target people who anyway like what I do, and that's what I did. So I went to my garden. It was, I think, April. I took my mobile phone and I just stood there and was talking to them. So I tried to talk not more than a minute, probably 45 seconds.
Okay.
So it's got to be really short, and then you can just direct them to a landing page. And that actually, well, I didn't really calculate the numbers, because I didn't think about making 2 landing pages, one for Facebook and one for YouTube. I will do that next time, so I can tell you more about that next time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for that note, because that's important. You need to know how many you got from each channel. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know that, unfortunately, but I could see that I had a lot of signups after I run that ad. So that was really helpful.
Yeah.
And it was actually quite fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And it's kind of this creativity. You're doing something brand new and you're trying it out, then it actually worked. You think it works.
I did think it works, and it was actually really fun. And I really like to try out new things. So that was fun for me too. Since then, I'm thinking about I should do some more YouTube ads, but I'm procrastinating it.
Yeah. You start to get this perfectionism. You said actually to me, people like it when it obviously is not too professional.
Yes.
So you just being in your garden on your mobile phone probably, was in your favor.
Yes, definitely. I'm quite natural anyway. So whenever I'm just having a bad hair day, I'm going live anyway, because I think, well, they want to have the input. They don't want to really see. I'm not a model. I'm not there to model and say, hey, I'm looking great. I'm there to actually teach something. So I don't really bother about that. So I just put on some makeup and went out and took that. And I really like that videos, actually. They were really fun, and it was such an easy way to do that.
Fabulous. Okay, so anyone listening, if you haven't tried out YouTube ads, try them out next time. Recommendation from Marisa. So, okay, so you had some ads going. You obviously emailed your list. And how many signups did you get for your launch webinar?
I had 564 signups for my launch webinar.
564. Were you happy with that number? Was that your goal?
I was quite happy, because I thought usually you have to think about a third is going to take part of the webinar. And I thought, well, that gives me around 150 to 200 people. And I thought, well, that's not a bad number. So because it was the first time that I was doing it, I was actually quite happy with it.
Yeah. Okay. So you just focus on doing this one webinar. Did you have a Facebook group or anything to nurture them leading up to the webinar?
No, I just gave that. I offered a training, and it was a free training. And my community knows that when I offer something, it's usually really there is a lot of worth in it. So they actually, I didn't nurture it, because I knew that they will know that there is something good inside it. So so I just thought, well, offer it to them.
So for those who know you already, they know it, but I guess brand new people wouldn't. So so that's always the challenge when you are doing a launch. Like, people who know you before, they're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to miss the opportunity of a training with Marisa, but the others are kind of like still testing the waters and don't know you yet.
Yes.
So how many showed up actually for the webinar?
484.
Excuse me?
It was 484.
So is that 80 or 90% show up rate?
I didn't actually count it. It's probably around 80% that showed up.
Wow.
I was yes.
How did you do that? Did you send out some reminder emails that promised them some drugs on the training or what?
I mean, I did send out some reminder emails, but as you know, I'm not one that sends out heaps and heaps of emails because I don't want to overwhelm them, because my community is really sensitive and I just don't want to overwhelm them. So I did send out some emails, but I actually never expected so many people to show up. So that was really, really, well, overwhelming for me and really cool, because I mean, it gives you so much energy to do that when you see that there is so much people, there are so many people there, and it's just great fun to do that.
Were you technically ready to have so many on?
Well, I have for my Zoom, I had the webinar, and I had the webinar up to 500 because I thought it could be over 100. And when there were coming more people, I was like, oh my God, this could be actually a problem. But it never went up to more than 484. So that was okay. But I was sweating a little because of that.
Yes, I can imagine.
That.
No, it's very unusual. Show up rates are more between 20 and 30%.
Yeah, that's actually what I was calculating with.
Yeah.
I was calculating with 20 to 30%. I wasn't calculating with 80%.
Yeah. Well, it shows there is a massive need.
Yes.
And either people are not finding it anywhere else, which could explain it, or it's a loyal following of people who say, I'm not going to miss anything. You know, you don't do webinars that often, so that can also be in your favor.
Yeah, that's true. I don't do webinars very often. I do Facebook Lives about twice a month or maybe even a bit more, but not webinars. No, I don't do that very often. So yeah, that could have been a favor.
Yeah.
They just wanted to be part of it, and they thought, well, that must be great.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. So you were there with 484 participants. Mm-hmm. Did you have someone help you on the webinar to manage that, or you were just there alone?
I was there alone. I didn't even think about someone to manage it. I thought, well, that's going to be, I mean, I was actually planning for 150 people. So I thought, well, that should be no problem to do it. So it was, I really wasn't expecting that. So I didn't ask anyone. I mean, looking back to it, I should have asked someone, but it's just not, I was just not doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do it now, but I also can see that in the past I did not ask for any assistance. But I can say if someone is doing a webinar for the first time, that they definitely want to have someone in the background to manage it, because I've seen people go into some sort of panic mode when suddenly a lot more people show up. So you managed, you were fine.
I was fine, but I was actually looking back to it. It would have been so much more sensitive to ask someone to help you. So yeah, you shouldn't do that.
No. So how long was the webinar itself?
The webinar itself was probably around 1.5 hours.
Yeah, 90 minutes. Yeah, I like that. I actually plan all my webinars 90 minutes as well. Yeah. So I didn't want to do it much longer because I don't think that they are. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to keep people so long in a webinar. They just anyway can't concentrate and they are thinking about something else. So I didn't want to do it that long. Yeah. So you do your training and then you lead over to, hey, here's my course. Did you tell them up front that you would offer them a course?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I don't like that. I like to be very, very open and very, very clear. And when they signed up for the webinar, there was actually one part was we talk about the course. So that was very clear because I just don't like to have surprises like that. And I did that up front in the webinar too. So when I started the webinar, I told them that if they have a problem when I'm talking about the course after the training, they should leave because that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So yes, and then I offered the course, and that was interesting.
Interesting. Okay, tell us more.
You know, I had that course. The first time I gave that course, I gave it on a website that I built myself. Mm-hmm. And as I told you, the doors were just opened and they could just sign up for it. So I had like 2 or 3 signups every day for whatever, 3 or 4 weeks. And this time I was giving that webinar, and then at the end of the webinar I told them, so now if you click on that link, you can subscribe for you can buy the course. And I had 460 people still on the webinar, and probably half of them tried to click the link.
Oh,
the whole website completely collapsed.
Yes, that's what happens when you have more than 100 people clicking on a link. Wow.
Yes. So that was a shame, actually, because looking back to it, I probably lost about 50 people because they just couldn't click the link. Yeah.
Was it your web hosting you could improve in the future, or anything you could think of?
I did improve it. I saw that this is not going to work because, I just knew that if I have 200 people on my course and if all of them click on the same link the same evening because I'm giving live teachings, it's just not possible that it's going to work, because that would collapse the website every time. So what I did after I did the webinar, within the next 10 days, I moved the whole course to a webinar, to a course platform where you can host courses. And when I checked there, they tell you that if you expect more than 1 million people to click, you should tell them up front. So I thought, well, that's not going to be a problem for my
Not
case.
Not yet. Maybe one day it will come. But
yes.
Just I want to repeat this in case someone missed it before. So while you are doing your sales presentation, you're making an offer, you still have about 95% of the people on the webinar, like only 5% leave. And you told them up front, you can leave if you want to when I start the sales presentation. Wow, that is amazing. Like you it's like you've captured their attention so much. They don't want to leave. They want to know how they can be a part of it. And about 50% wanted to join.
Yes, that was absolutely fantastic. And actually, what happened during the webinar, and that was really touching for me, there were some participants from the first course, when I launched the course the first time, and they were in the webinar, and they told the other people in the webinar how cool the course was. And I didn't ask them. They were just like, I did it already, and it was so cool. You really have to do it. And that was really touching for me, because I never planned for that, but I think that was really motivating for everybody else. So
absolutely.
Yes, about half of them tried to buy or bought. In the end, half of them bought.
Yes. Yeah, but this point that you just said, that there were people from the course, the previous version, on the webinar, and they shared. There is nothing that replaces something like that. Yes. And this is one of the reasons that when I do a launch training, I always make it exciting enough for existing clients to join. Because this honest testimonial live on a webinar, as you said, you can't buy it. You can't. Sometimes you can't even ask for it. Well, sometimes you actually can. Hey, it would be nice that if you shared your success. For instance, I have people sharing in our free Facebook group. I will just ask in my community, would you mind, sharing? And then they go and share. But on a webinar, it's different. So this definitely got people over the fence if they had any doubts. But is there anything else that you saw yourself doing in the presentation? Was it the training? Like, what do you think it was that kept them so excited about taking the next steps with you?
When I was giving that webinar, I was so energized by all the people sitting there. I was expecting 150 people, more or less, and there were 450 or 460, and I was so excited that so many people were there. So I was really doing a training. I wasn't just giving a webinar. So they had to do things. So they had to stand up and sit down and write down things, and they had to I kept asking them, write it to the chat so that we can see it. And that was a lot of energy going on. And I know that I was just like thriving because there was so much energy going on. And that was such a reaction that I just felt all the energy. And I think that they could really feel that I was really happy about what I'm offering. And I know exactly that course that I'm offering is actually really good. So it's a very, very good content. And I can stand behind that. I'm with 100% of myself. Yeah. So I think that the two things that came together there was really motivating to people to work more with me, to get into more deep depth with me and to figure out what I'm actually doing.
Yeah. I think I say this a lot to especially those who are selling for the first time. The first sale is to yourself. Like, you got to absolutely believe in what you're selling. Yeah. And then it doesn't feel like you're selling. Did you feel like you were selling?
Not at all. Actually, I was just talking to a friend of mine just some weeks ago because she said, you're so good in marketing. And I said, well, no, actually not. I'm just really 100% sure of what I'm selling or what I'm offering to the people. And I see what I have for the world is my gift for the world. If you follow me, you can get a lot of free content. You don't have to buy anything from me, and you get anyway weekly free content from me. But I'm so sure about what I'm offering. I'm so sure that this is really great and this is really important that the world gets it, that I don't think that I'm actually selling. It's more like I'm sharing. Mm. And this course, where I sold the course, it was like I was sharing a great thing for them to use. I mean, they are always open to not buy, but I was just offering it to them. And I thought it was really important for them to get into contact with their spirit guide. So that's actually why I don't feel like I'm selling. I feel like I'm sharing.
Yeah. And that, I think, is so important. So first of all, you absolutely believe in what you're doing and that this course helps people. You had the proof from previous clients who were there to share it. Plus, you talked about your energy.
Yes.
I do believe if you don't show up like 100, 150% in your energy, people are going to feel it. They're going to feel it if you are like having a bad day. And I think it's all about a decision. Like, you could still have a bad day. Something could be going on badly in your personal life. But when you show up there, you need to compartmentalize, like you need to block it out and focus on who you're serving.
This is actually just, I mean, for me personally, that's just I have my personal Marisa and the professional Marisa. And if I do something professional, I want to show up professional. So no matter what happens, and I can actually have a webinar with a migraine, because while I'm working, I just don't think that I'm having a migraine. I can go back to bed afterwards, but it's just like there is something that shifts inside me and I get into the professional mode, and I just want to show up professional, because I mean, if someone comes to my webinar, they are showing up too, and I want to give that. I mean, it's an honor that they're showing up. So I want to give that back.
Yeah. So did you offer any type of a fast action bonus? Because if people were so eagerly trying to buy right away on your webinar, there must have been some sort of an incentive.
Yes, I actually did offer a fast action bonus that went really bizarre, because, I mean, they couldn't buy.
Yes.
But the ones that bought during the webinar, or the offer was actually that when you buy during the webinar, you can get one extra live session with me. Mm-hmm. So they would have, instead of 5 live sessions, they would have 6 live sessions. So, and there is less people, so they have more chance to ask their questions. That was the offer that I gave to them. I had to expand it to 24 hours because they just couldn't click.
Yeah.
But that was actually, the plan was buy during the webinar.
Yeah. And also the plan was to have less people on that extra call. I guess that didn't pan out.
Not at all.
That is funny. That's funny. So, okay. So you had to extend it 24 hours because of the technical issues of people not being able to buy right away, which you have solved for the next launch.
I have it solved for every launch.
Yeah. Fabulous. We absolutely know that, I think people only make the changes once they realize, oh, there's an issue here.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that could be an issue.
No.
It never came to my mind.
No. But now you're listening to this podcast and you know this can happen. So be prepared.
Plan in advance.
Yes. And this was the first time you said this was your first proper launch with a webinar, with the instructions on how to do a webinar and all that stuff. And you had open card. How long was open card?
The card was open around, I think it was 8 days or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So 8 days. Yeah. And did you follow up during those 8 days with the people who had not bought yet?
I did follow up with one email. I didn't go further because I just had to first solve my technical issues. And then I didn't want to overwhelm them because that's just who I am. And then there were so many people buying already that I was actually getting afraid of having even more, because I knew that there was going to be a lot of questions and I was on my own and I didn't have help. So I thought, well, actually, I'm quite okay with the 200 that I have right now. So it's okay if there's not more coming. And I will change that for my next launch. I will have assistance because I just can't handle so many people on my own. That's just not possible.
So I remember when this was happening, you came into our VIP Facebook group and said, I've already sold 200, or, you saw it was heading that direction and you were like, can I stop this somehow? And we were like, what? Why? Why would you want to stop it? The more the merrier.
No. I was freaking out.
Yeah. You were worried of not being able to deal with all the community and the questions coming up from the people. Yeah.
Yes, because the live sessions, and I will change that in future, but the live sessions, what I offered them is that they can send me their questions in advance and I will answer all the questions. But if 200 people have one question and I have 1 minute for every question, that gives me 200 minutes of every week of answering questions. And I mean, I don't have only 1 minute. So I was just really afraid that I couldn't deliver what I was offering. So I didn't actually follow up, because I was just not wanting to have more people. Yeah.
But this is also a lesson. And I know Marisa has repeated this several times here on the episode. She doesn't want to send out a lot of emails. That is a debate between me and her. We'll probably never resolve. But I think the way you can remedy that upfront is to have the emails written upfront and it's just scheduled. So even if you go into a personal panic mode or anything, it's just over there. It's like it's pre-scheduled in your email system and you don't think about it. I would say even for people who don't want to send out a lot of emails, I've signed up for webinars myself. And sometimes I show up, sometimes I don't. But I want the reminders. I want to know when the cart closes. And I want extra reminders on the cart close day. And I know it from my sister, who is, she buys a lot of courses and she actually does them. She will put a date in her calendar, what day a cart closes on a course she's interested in. And she buys on the last day. Now, even if she's diligent and puts it in her calendar, she needs a reminder. So just want to emphasize, this is for the people who are thinking about buying and they are maybe sorting out their finances, or they are reading up on you on LinkedIn or your website, or they're just like typical procrastinators. They're going to buy the last day.
Actually, I'm really looking forward to try that because I mean, I was freaking out and I was chickening and I thought, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to have more people, but I'm actually looking forward to doing that the next time because I think it's so interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. So basically, what we have seen from your launch is that you had almost all sales right away.
More or less within 24 hours, yes. Yeah. Well, I could check that if you want me to, but
So for someone who has so much interest, you wouldn't even need 8 days open cart. You could even just say there's 3 days open cart. I don't think this is a strategy for someone launching the first time and they don't know the interest of their audience. But now Marisa has tested this. She knows the price point is super good for her audience. She can probably increase it. When you realize you sell so much in such little time, it means actually the price can go up. But also she can reduce her open cart time. And that could solve the problem with, I don't want to send out too many emails. If you send out emails for 3 days, no one is going to eat you or take your head off or anything, versus if you send daily emails for 8 days and your community is sensitive to that. So that is something to think about too. Open cart, having longer open cart is when when you know that your sales will pick up later. So typically in a typical launch, it's 30% buys on open cart day, 30% on close cart day, and 30% in the middle. But your chart is completely off. You made most of the sales right away, So
Yep.
no reason to have such a long open cart.
Yes, that's true. I will consider that next time, because that would solve the problem with the emails.
That would solve the problem with the emails, your energy, because you
Yes.
have to keep energy high for a whole week. And that can be, especially if you're more like a highly sensitive person, that can be a stretch. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was a stretch, but it was really, really interesting to do it like that. I mean, for me, it was a learning experience, and it was so fun, because I thought, well, wow, I can do it like that, and it's actually quite easy. I mean, I put that in
brackets. Yeah.
Brackets, because it's still, you work a lot, and it's a lot of energy that you use, but it's not. It didn't go over weeks and weeks and weeks, and I had to check back and check in and advertise it again and again and again. They knew exactly they have now 10 days or 8 days or whatever to buy, and then it's gone, and then it's just they have to wait for the next course. So it was really interesting to do it like that, and I really actually enjoyed it. So for me, it's definitely, I will do it again like that. So.
Yeah. So your conversion rate, we said before, was from those who signed up for the webinar, conversion rate to sales, I guess, was more like 40%, or?
I have no idea. I should check that.
Yes. So this is a number that I always ask my clients in the launch review. You need to know your launch list. So that is people who signed up for the webinar. Show up rate we talked about before. And then we need to know how many bought. So you basically, take the number of spots you sold, divide it by the number of your launch list, and then you have your conversion rate. And I guess with 212 sales, 500, was it 80 signups? Yeah, we're probably somewhere about 40%. That is very, very high.
It's very
typical conversion rate is 3% in a webinar launch. Now, for a program of your price point, you could even say, you could go up to 10%. But 40% is crazy. It's unheard of, which means that they were so eager. Like, how much time did you have between the two courses? Did they have to wait long?
The first time I launched it in September, I think at the 1st or something of September, and the second time in May. So they bought in April.
Yeah, that's a long time. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's more than 6 months. And so I guess there was this buildup of, people being ready to buy something from you. So there's different options to that. You could have something available on your website all the time, so that you kind of, it's almost like there's this champagne bottle and you're shaking it and it gets released and people want to buy from Marisa. You can release the tension by having something on sale all the time. This could be an evergreen. There are many options. And one way is to increase the price and make it more exclusive.
Yes.
Yeah.
See what happens.
What happens. Yeah. Okay. And now we want to know, how much money did you make?
I made a little over 43,000 euro.
Wow. Did you ever expect that number?
Actually, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. That was quite astonishing.
I was
like, oh my God, this is crazy. Yes.
Yeah. That is amazing for that price point.
It is amazing for that price point, and it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
It was in April, so it was in the middle of everything happening. So it was really actually quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very honoring for myself. So it was like, oh my God, they really actually need that, what I offered them.
Yeah. Well, actually, we've seen with some online businesses, or actually a lot of online businesses, that the whole Corona situation and the lockdown has sometimes been a blessing in disguise, because people have been looking for online courses. They've been looking for something, whether it's a personal development or business development. They've been looking for ways to keep themselves busy and so people are investing. Did you get any questions around, pricing or anything else? Because I know your community is price sensitive.
I did. There was one woman who she was a hairdresser, and she just said, "Can I pay with two in two?" And that was no problem. And then there was only someone else, but that was actually I didn't want to offer that person something, because it was obvious that this person just doesn't want to pay, and it's not a lot of money, so that was definitely just very ridiculous to ask. I just wanted to mention something because of the moving online. That's actually something that I saw that was really sought after from my community too. So they were actually really happy that they can stay at home and be safe and don't have to travel somewhere. And I think that's more happening. So if someone in my community asked me what to do, I would always suggest to go online and to do the course online, because it's just really helpful for people to be in a safe environment. For myself, it's because my community is really international. I mean, that would be a really long travel to come to me, and that would be so much more expensive. So that was really sought after. And I thought that was quite interesting too, because my community is not very tech savvy. And I mean, it's not a community of online marketers or online business owners. It's a community of sensitive people who want to know more about their spirit guide. So even with that community and a lot of women over in their 50s, not very tech savvy, and asking questions like, can I use that on my iPhone? Are searching for exactly the online courses. So that for me was really interesting to see too.
Yeah. It's been a very interesting period, and again, I am so happy that you finally did a proper launch and you've seen the benefits of it.
Yes,
what
it was
will
great.
you do differently next time?
I will definitely have help. I'm right now giving a teacher training where I teach wonderful women how to become a spiritual teacher. And I will have some of them helping me, because I just can't do it myself. And the problem is that I was trying to have my VA helping me, but as soon as the questions go into the specific topics, they can't help, because they are just not from the business, if you will, from that side. And I am just now teaching my teachers. They are really cool and really wonderful, and I teach them how to become teachers and how to support me. Yeah. So they will start becoming Seelenschimmer teacher, which is my name.
Yeah. So you will have some support,
yes.
Similar to also what we do in our program. We have coaches and mentors, often previous students that come in and help. Probably shorten your card.
Yes, that's going to be very interesting to shorten the card. And then, I mean, technically that's solved now.
That's solved, yeah. So we can have 200 people, or let's say maybe next time you'll have 500 people pressing the button at the same time.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be a problem.
No, it's less than 1 million, right?
Less than 1 million. And
speaking to your calls, when people create a scalable online course, you cannot answer everybody's questions. So how are you going to change that?
I'm going to change that into, if they have a question for me, I only going to answer questions that they are in the call. So they can't send the question up front, because I mean, I was having 90 questions up front and I was just like dying to do that. And so, because it was just too much. So they will only have the possibility to ask questions during the call. And I just answer as many as possible. And I want to go into more answering questions that are interesting for everybody, because if you have a spirit guide and his name is Michael, and you ask me, is it true that his name is Michael? That's just not interesting for the other 200. And I still have to tune in quickly. So what I plan to do is that in my calls, when I do the calls, that they have questions that are more for everybody. And if they have a specific questions, there is someone of my team answering the specific questions, and they can, I don't know, I have to prepare that. I don't know if they want to answer it by email or if they answer it with a call that they do. So it's both possibilities, that they either have answered by email or that we just have specific calls with my team.
Yeah. So the best way I see a solution to someone expecting so much, so many people in the courses and so many questions like yourself, is actually posting the questions up front, but having an assistant weed out and pick the questions, and then you doing a call, and the call is fixed in time. So the call is 60 minutes or 90 minutes or however long you will, but you'll answer as many questions as you can during that time. I think it's impossible as your course grows, and for anyone who is dealing with scale, you cannot make the promise that I will answer all your questions. Like, you have to stop doing that promise.
Yes, that's not possible.
Yeah, that's not possible. And the thing is, in a scalable online course, people learn so much from each other. So the questions are going to be the same. Like, it's just math. Once you have enough people in a program and you get like 100 questions versus 200, there's no difference in the questions.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. You just need someone to go through the questions and make sure that you're not repeatedly answering the same thing and not taking specific questions. I learned this actually already 2013. I was a part of an online course, and he emphasized so much, the coach, to say, your question has to be general. It has to be beneficial for everybody. But yeah, Marisa, we need to protect your time.
Yes, it's actually quite funny because on my YouTube lives, I can do that. I'm really good in telling people, this is what I answer and this is what I don't answer. And actually my community keeps telling the people in the chat, she's not answering personal questions. But in the course, I just had a switch in my mind or something. And I thought I need to answer everything. And that was really stressful for me. So I definitely going to change that because, I mean, it was just not fun anymore. It was just really stressful. I was dreading the evenings where I knew I was going to work 2 hours and I was going to give out because, I mean, in the end, I'm doing energy work and I have to tune in for everybody. And that's really hard if you tune in for 80 people to give them answers to their questions. So no, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's a promise and I will not.
Exactly. We will make sure Marisa sticks to her promise.
Yes. Yes.
But it's a very normal thing, and it's a part of us, especially women, just really wanting to deliver and serve everyone and help everyone. But when it's not serving us anymore, we gotta look at what needs to change. And also, not everyone in your course, probably nobody in your course, actually wants to sit through a 2-hour or 3-hour call every week because you're answering every single question. They'd rather sit there and watch a shorter call which has better questions that obviously have been filtered. So this is a lesson. I'm not just talking to Marisa, I'm talking to you guys listening. I see this happening every time that people are starting to scale their online courses, that there's these boundaries, like, it's when your boundaries have been stretched and you start to get frustrated. The danger is that you start to resent people in your programs, and you want to definitely avoid that. And it's up to us to set those boundaries.
Yes. And it was actually a very good lesson of learning how to set my boundaries. So that was great. It was a great learning curve.
Yeah. Well, you had a fantastic launch, amazing results, 212 signups, over 43,000 euro. I bet it's going to double next time.
Oh.
Yes, because you're doing a great job and you have very loyal followers. Marisa, I just want to thank you for sharing this launch debrief review with my audience. I'm sure there were some great lessons in there. I think the YouTube ads is probably going to stick out to those who have launched before, but lots of nuggets. Guys, maybe you have to listen to this twice because Marisa had some great things to share, and you can learn from her how you can do your launch webinar. Thank you for coming on the show, Marisa. We will link to all your social media channels in the show notes so people can follow you, and maybe they're interested in next time you launch the Spirit Guide course.
That would be great. Thank you.